Hey, what's going on, my friends? It is Dave Sharpe. Welcome to Wake Up Legendary. This morning, well, it's new and it's nothing new. We have yet another guest. Yes, another amazing guest for the show. And it is not a guru. It is not a goblin. It is not somebody who has been in internet marketing for years and years and years. It is actually a corporate account manager who is today going to spill her strategy to finding a target audience, who has been over the last several months finding her audience and building her business as she went through education here and is pursuing a career or a second career or a side hustle, however she wants to categorize it, being driven by the desire to provide more, a better life for her family. I'm not going to tell her story. I'm going to let her do that. But I'm privileged and honored to have all the way from, I believe, the great state of Texas. Emily, welcome to the show.
Hi, good morning. So happy to be here.
It's my pleasure. We also haven't spoke before, as I like to remind everybody who is maybe on the show for the very first time that, you know, we didn't have any prep or scripting or anything like that. So everything that everybody's hearing is going to be you and I talking and me learning about you and your journey for the very first time, right?
That's right. Yeah.
Okay. And everything that I said previous to that was all correct as well, including that you're coming from not only Texas, but the great city of Austin, Texas.
That's right. That's right. I'd like to say that it's warm outside right now because I like to pride myself that I live in a warm climate, but it's actually pretty cold and dreary. Although my cold, ever since moving here, like below 65, I'm in a winter jacket. So I'm a little weak.
Me too. It's about 65 outside and I'm in
sweatpants. Yeah.
So talk to us, Emily, about a little bit about who you are and how you found us and what you were looking for. And if you believe you found what you were looking for, give us the nutshell version of your story and how you found us and what's motivating you to do this.
For sure. Happily. So I like to say that it all kind of starts with this dream that I've always had since I was very, very young to have my own little family, to create my own family unit. Definitely stems from the fact that I came from a broken home. I was actually born and raised in Italy. And when my parents split up, my mom moved my brother and me to the US. And since that point in time, really, my dad was very, very absent from my life, from our lives, just was not around. We didn't see him. He, didn't help us with homework, didn't go to soccer games, didn't come to graduations, everything like that. And my mom and my brother are amazing, amazing, amazing human people. They are just like my rocks in life. But regardless, I think the absence of having a father definitely left a hole in my heart. And so I just had this dream of one day I'm going to create those childhood memories that I didn't get to have. I want to give that to my future child. So fast forward 2019, I got married to the love of my life. He's the best person in the world. And in 2020, we got pregnant and it was like the stars are aligning. My dreams are coming true. Here's this family that I'm building. And we ended up losing the baby. And it shattered me. It shattered me. It started a very dark time in my life. I definitely went through depression and our marriage suffered because of it. Things were really tough. And it was like a year and a half, 2 years of struggling with not being able to get pregnant again. I went through a bunch of different fertility treatments. All of them failed. And I hit rock bottom. I really did. Our last ditch effort was to do IVF, which, if anybody knows, it's very expensive and it's very taxing mentally and physically. And so I kind of had this like come to moment that if we're going to do that, we're going to dive into that, I need to make some changes up here and here. And so I started therapy. I started daily meditating. I started manifesting. I started acupuncture. Like I dove in because I wanted to take this really seriously. This was super serious to me. And I pulled myself up and out of that dark place. We did IVF and I got pregnant on the first round. And last October, we had a healthy, chunky, delicious little boy who it just made my dreams come true. So long story short, all of that is to say that I worked really freaking hard to have this baby. And 3 months later, I had to hand him off to somebody and I had to go back to work. And I was already unhappy at my job before, stressed out, not really getting paid well. And so for 3 months after having this miracle baby, to go back to work, not see this child that I worked so hard for, stressing, being yelled at by people, you know, like I just had this moment where I feel like I was hitting rock bottom again. Like, what am I doing here? Why did I work so hard for something and somebody that I'm not even getting to spend time with? So I reminded myself that I have pulled myself out of a dark, deep, nasty place before, and I was going to do it again. So I convinced myself, you know, if I could just find a bunch of these like side hustles and I could do them before he wakes up in the morning, I can do them when my baby goes to bed at night, I can make enough money that maybe enough, I'll be able to actually quit my job and be with him. And that's when, you know, the Instagram algorithm did its magic. I came across, you know, a normal mom, just like me. She shared her story. I connected with it. She talked about affiliate marketing, this amazing side hustle. And I don't think anybody's ever come across those stories and not had doubts. I think it's very normal to be like, is that really possible? Like, could that be me? Like, is that really happening? So I'm a neurotic psychopath when it comes to researching. So I did my due diligence. I said, I need to check this out. And like, affiliate marketing is not new. It's been around for a very, very long time. It's very legit. And so I did my due diligence and I felt good about that. So I dove in. I woke up an hour early every single day so that I could do the modules in the 15-day challenge before my son woke up. I did it during my lunch break at work. I did it when my son went to bed at night. And I went all in. And it was so amazing. There are so many amazing things about it in terms of feeling like this spark was ignited in me. Just like, you know, in the beginning, you're not just immediately making a ton of money. So even just in my experience of taking the course, feeling like, wow, there's like this little light that had totally gone out inside of me. I was not inspired at work. I was unmotivated. I was unhappy. Yeah. It wasn't a passion. All of a sudden, here I am like learning this information that was really exciting and it was really cool. And I just felt jazzed up every single day doing it. And it just kind of took off from there.
Wow. 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 Taking all that in. Well, that's a
yeah, my quick answer, right?
A powerful story though. I mean, just, you know, you touched on so many things and you did it in a way that was really useful for us to hear, because many of us are, you know, have challenges figuring out how to tell our story and communicate our message and communicate what we're doing and why we're doing it. Regardless of niche product, it's all the same. Every business needs a story. Every product needs a story. And for you to share that with us in the way that you did, you know, is a learning moment. It was also, you know, it was just a great example of, you know, how that can be done in just a few minutes. Maybe not in a 30-second video. You went into some detail there, but man, a bridge page video, a longer form video where you're, you know, I mean, that story can and should be told in your marketing over and over and over again for the next how many ever decades. That's your getting started story. That is just like me. And I can relate to so many things, even though I didn't personally have a problem getting pregnant, even though I'm not a woman, even though I, you know, didn't grow up without my father. I just can identify with so many things because they're human, and it makes me think about what I have overcame, what I want to overcome. And that was a great example to everybody who's watching. And also kudos to you for turning your mess into a message and turning this to a strength. That was really, really beautiful. And so, you know, as you're clearly a professional, clearly a corporate, I believe, an executive of some sort. You work with large businesses in some capacity, and maybe it's good that we don't go into that, because I believe are you still employed? Are you still with that job or career?
So I am, but I am actually putting in my 2 weeks notice next month and going all in on affiliate marketing. And my husband and I just had the conversation. Yeah, it's a big, big deal.
All right. Well, okay. So this stuff works, friends. And, it's not just because we have one, success story. I had no idea that was going to be your answer. But my Lord, that's wonderful news, I guess, I think, right?
Yeah, I would say. Yeah, literally my dream come true. It's still, I wake up each day and I'm like, oh my gosh, it's actually going to happen, and it's happening. And it feels really, really good. I have to pinch myself a lot.
Well, congrats to you. And, if anybody from your current employer is watching right now, they're getting that news early. So,
surprise.
Yeah, surprise. But okay. So, wow, a lot of things are happening. Help us understand the timeline. I don't know if you said that and I missed it, but remind me of the timeline. And of course, I love how you hit on the fact during telling your story that, this is not something where you're coming in and just getting rich quickly and immediately and tons of money is flying your way. There's lots of potential if you put in a good, solid effort, just like anything. So I love that you highlighted that, but also help us understand a little bit of the timeline. You did some due diligence, you mentioned. Was there procrastination? Was there lulls? Has it just been a straight line, or has there been some squigglies along the way to get us from when you first started to where we're at now?
Yeah, I think it's probably unusual for it to be a straight line for anybody. I think it's very normal for you to kind of go all over the place. So yeah, I first came across that mom on Instagram, I think in like June, maybe May, end of May or so. And I watched for a little while. It wasn't like I saw the first video and immediately it was like, boom, I'm off to the races. I need to do that due diligence. And so it started with watching, observing, listening. And like, once you watch once, the algorithm just keeps, putting it in front of you. And then it's wonderful the way it does that, because sometimes you need that push to keep getting that message. So watched for a little while. And then it was July. It was the beginning of July where I remember just crying to my husband. I mean, I cried like basically every day at work, but this time I cried to him. And I was like, something's got to give. I have to do something. And so I signed up for the 15-day challenge in July. We went to New York on a family vacation to visit his family. And I remember they were at the beach and I was like back at the cabana, like on my laptop, listening to the modules and like trying to work through it. And so I completed that. And then I spent some time setting up my systems. And then I launched my Instagram account on August 1st. So it's been just over 4 months at this point since I launched.
Well, in July too, if we go, so 4 or 5 months of good, solid effort, good, solid work can go a long way in any business, my friends. I mean, it's not just this. And of course, that is not guaranteed for anybody. We want to be absolutely clear about that. But man, it's amazing what you can accomplish in 4 or 5 months of good, solid, consistent effort. Also mentioning some of the sacrifices that you made on your family vacation. I've been there before. I have made I have had, and it's not sacrifices per se, because especially if you have a family and it's call it sacrifice, call it contribution. I guess you are sacrificing time to relax and so forth. But that is the story. We oftentimes only hear the glory. that was the journey. That's the sacrifice, because I can't think of a better word that we make to, not, I hear so often on the show, getting up early, staying up late. I know that was true for me when I first started. I was working construction, so I don't particularly love to get up early. I do now, because now that I'm 40, I wake up like, man, first thing in the morning, and it's just like I can't go back to sleep. I was always confused by my dad when he used to say that.
Right.
You get up at what time? 5:30? What the hell are you doing there? A lot of people are going to bed around that time.
Right.
I would stay up late, and be tired the next day. And a lot of those days were really miserable. And of course, when you're tired, you're catastrophizing everything, and nothing feels like it's working, because all you're doing is feeling tired and exhausted. But eventually the storm passes, and you get a little rest, and you make a little progress. And before you know it, if you have your head down and you're chugging along, you come up for air and something big happens, like, I think I might be able to quit my job now, or okay, I'm getting invited to this thing, or I just crossed this amount of leads or sales. And it's like, wow, that's a big milestone, right? And I think what makes it really miserable is when we're like up for air all the time, constantly stopping, pausing, taking a break, looking around, comparing, all of those things. So how did you, and are you avoiding the comparisonitis and the shiny object syndrome that plagues so many of us, to stay focused on what you're doing, even on the tough days or the multiple consistent days when you're wondering, am I shadow banned, or is anybody even seeing my stuff? Like, how are you staying focused and avoiding distraction so you can continue to get these both small and big wins that you're experiencing?
Yeah, great question. I think that's super normal. I mean, in the beginning, gosh, I was not getting very many views. I definitely wasn't getting any engagement. And I remember sitting there with my app, and I would just like hit refresh. Did I get another view? Did anybody like come across my video? And I would get so down on myself. Like, is this going to work? When is this going to work? Like, why is nobody seeing my info? And there are a couple things that happened that kind of shifted everything for me. First of all, I stopped looking at my posts as like, how many likes or views did I get today or in the first half an hour. I kind of would like create the content with my goals in mind, and also just know that the content I was creating was an opportunity to test my message, test my content, to get better. I mean, I literally had never made a reel before this. I have a personal Instagram account, but I like posted pictures and stories sometimes. I never made a reel before. So I started looking at it as an opportunity every single day to just get better, to learn how to use the tools, to learn which messages were potentially reaching my audiences better. And that took some of the pressure away from not getting 1,000 or 2,000 or 3,000 views or a bunch of likes. And so I found more satisfaction, and I don't know, just I felt better about what I was doing when that was my focus. Number two, most importantly, and there were definitely days, and there are still sometimes days where I'm like, this isn't happening as fast as I want, or I haven't reached this potential goal that I like had in mind. What I do is I stop and think that the alternative is not an option. The alternative is staying in my 9 to 5, and that is not an option for me. Like, no percent is that better than what I'm going through right now. So I remember reading something, one of those inspirational things on Instagram. It's like, the fear of being in the same spot next year has to be bigger than the fear of whatever you're trying, like the fear of trying something new, the fear of putting yourself out there. So as long as the fear of being in that same spot, being stuck in this forever is greater, like you can keep going forward. So I just remind myself that, like, I refuse to not make this work, because the alternative is just not an option.
Yeah. And that's a great attitude, and the attitude that we need to have in anything to make it work, right? It's not like this is a unique attitude that's required in this. I mean, it's similar to what you said at the beginning of the show, where you were like, you know, I did lots of due diligence. I really was skeptical, as you should be, friends. There's lots of, you know, big, ridiculous things that people are saying out there that are not true. And there's lots of stuff that people are doing that are not what it seems. And, you know, we try to really just, and that's one of the reasons why we do this show, is to, well, let you hear it from the horse's mouth. I've now interviewed 850 of our actual clients with no prep or script, and just let them say it how they want to say it. And, you know, it's just the attitude that you're describing here is what we need in anything to be successful. It really is. It's not something that's unique or new to this. It's something that is, that is just, it's just a basic, it's a requirement, even in your job, you know, even in your job, if you're going to be successful at a job, you're going to need a lot of the same principles that you're talking about. And that's another reason why I love these interviews so much, is because they demystify a lot of what appears to be magic or appears to be luck, right? And lets people hear the behind the scenes story, not just seeing the glory, but the story of the hard work, the sacrifice, and also this, what is motivating you, right? What is keeping you from giving up? And I think, you know, there was an old saying, I don't repeat it a lot because it's kind of a hypey thing, but if your why doesn't make you cry, you need to, you know, dig deeper. And look, I try not to, you know, rehash old hyperbole from, you know, previous things I've been involved in and am no longer. But there is a little bit of truth to that, you know, that, you know, we really need to, during tough times, dig deeper and have some sort of a North Star, some sort of a reason why we're doing it. And that, you know, that helps us to, when things get tough, keep going. And so what are you finding success with in your marketing? How did you create your first videos? How did you pick your niche? Talk to us about kind of step one, that you, when the rubber hits the road. Because one of the things that I touched on, for example, at our event this last weekend was, you know, how it's so safe to stay a student and be in learning mode, and how so much of the internet facilitates that and enables that, because there's always something else to buy, and there's always somebody else willing to coach you and mentor you, and most of us get people hitting us up in our DMs and they want to give us advice. As a matter of fact, our guest yesterday said that. So you know, what are you doing, and what did you do at the beginning in terms of deciding on your niche, making a decision, putting the rubber to the road, and then start obviously getting in front of the camera and starting to record yourself? What was that like? How did you come to terms or choose your niche? And what did those first 30 days of videos look like for you?
Yeah. So I didn't right off the bat know what my niche would be. And by the way, is it niche? Is it niche? I say both. I don't know. I'm just going to go with niche because that's what you're saying. So I did not know off the bat what I wanted. The course, I feel like going through the motion of the 15 days, that helped kind of like unlock some thinking in my mind that I hadn't had before. And I think then also being more exposed to the affiliates in the wealth niche that I was now seeing on my Instagram feed started to inspire me. So I remember having this like very distinct conversation with one of my really good girlfriends who also had a baby recently. And we both, and this was before I came across affiliate marketing, but it was very much like, there has to be another way for parents to be able to still bring in money, but be more present in the lives of their children. And it was just like, how do we do that? And she and I were like spitballing all these business ideas, and it was, you know, didn't go anywhere. But so once I started seeing more of these affiliates in the wealth niche, I felt inspired by them because I saw firsthand that they were helping other people turn their lives around. So not only did they manage to turn their lives around, but they were offering this inspiration and help and guidance and education for these other people. And so all of a sudden I was like, okay, I mean, selfishly, I want to help myself, but if there is the ability to be able to help other people too, like that's awesome. And some of the conversations that I've had just in the last month or 4 months with people are really touching and amazing, hearing their story, seeing them like firsthand come back to me and be like, oh my God, I'm so jazzed about this. This is so cool. This is awesome. I'm learning, I'm growing, I'm doing things. So that's kind of why I decided to go in the route of the wealth niche. And I'm so glad that I did. And there's tons of really awesome niches. And maybe in the future, I'll pursue those. But to answer your question about what those first days looked like, again, I had never made a reel before. And it was I'm outgoing and bubbly and I love being around people, but I also have a very introverted side. It's like I'm an extroverted introvert or introverted extrovert, whatever it is. Like I have a little bit of extrovert in me, but I'm a lot introvert. And so to put myself out there and do talking videos and be in front of the camera felt really uncomfortable in the beginning. So I remember my first few posts, I was just like scrolling through my camera roll, trying to find B-roll. Like, what are some videos that I already have on my phone of me like walking with my son or holding him or doing something that I could use and just put trending audio and some text over. And that didn't really go that far. It wasn't great. But again, I needed that time in the beginning to get a little bit more comfortable. Everything changed once I realized the only way that I'm going to reach people is the same way that mom reached me, by talking, by being transparent, by being authentic, by being vulnerable, sharing your story. And talking to people the way that where they need to be met. And so one of the big things for me changed when I realized, okay, who am I trying to talk to? Who am I trying to reach here? And the light bulb moment for me was my target audience is just a former version of me. Like they are me 4 months ago. And so what messages stuck out to me? What grabbed my attention? What resonated with me? And so now, as soon as I started formulating my messaging and content around that, everything has changed. I'm connecting with people. I mean, I connect with people when they view my reels, but I'm having like really good conversations with people in my DMs. I've actually had phone calls with some people who like need a little bit of extra, encouragement or talking through things. They have questions. I want to help people with that. But that's when things really shifted. I just started putting myself out there and I approached my content and messaging as if I was talking to myself when I first came across this.
Yeah. And that's, we see that so often and it's exactly what I did 13 or so years ago when I got started in the online space was, I didn't have any other real context except my own experience. Mm-hmm. I was, a struggling offline marketer trying different network marketing things. And when I came online and came across some trainings about how I may be able to build that business by generating leads online, I began to do that. And I found a unique opportunity to market while I was building my business with those new strategies, create multiple streams of income or more income by promoting training programs mm-hmm. as an affiliate to other network marketers who are struggling, with their friends and family and chasing right. around relatives and hosting home parties and things of that nature to learn some real skills, to learn some real advertising skills. Mm-hmm. And it worked. It was fantastic. I not only began to get compensated because I found a niche that I could speak about because I had experience. So it was something that I felt comfortable in. And then eventually over time, I evolved into different sub niches or niches of the. Now you got me saying both of them.
Sorry, just say niche.
I know, niche like itch, niche. It is a very common path we see here even to this day. And just to remind everybody, there's absolutely no requirement to go into the online wealth niche, the affiliate marketing or make money online space, as some people call it, MMO. There's no requirement to do that. These are what I like to call transferable skills that transfer and translate into any niche, promoting any product. Specifically, we teach promoting and selling information products, right? Courses, coaching, events. Those are the kind of three main information or e-learning products that are sold today online. And if you're, not ready to create your own course, like we teach, for example, in the digital or the courses blueprint, the digital products blueprint, then it's a great idea to go and find an e-learning program or a course that does resonate with you, that is on the topic of something that you can talk about, because then you can create marketing material and drive people who are on social media looking for education and entertainment anyways, start to drive those people to that solution. And you hit on something earlier that I wonder if you've clearly you're leveraging it, whether you know it or not. And that's the fact that people who are these social media algorithms are very powerful and unique and do work to your advantage if you begin creating content on a specific topic. Because what happens is, even if you are not the initial person who first introduces somebody to the concept, they were likely watching other videos on that topic for a time being. And if one day your video suddenly comes across their feed and they're ready, you say something that makes it all click for them, and suddenly they say, okay, I'm ready to buy the solution to this problem. It's actually a really unique way to leverage other people's work and other people's effort who are out there getting, people, audiences out there on social media warmed up to these concepts, to these solutions. And then as long as you're in the game, right, you can't take advantage of this if you're not in the game. But it's sort of like the guy who's sitting over there in the corner waiting for the three-pointer, and he may not get it a shot the whole first quarter, but he's still over there. He goes down to that corner every time, and eventually you get the ball, and it's like, okay, you're ready. You boom, and you shoot it. And have you noticed that? And does that concept? I think so often, we think that we have to go on to social media, have our first video be a big, huge, long spiel, and we got to get everybody used to us and convince people of what we're doing or what solutions we have, when the truth is they're already warmed up. They're already seeing videos on that topic. And all we need to do is put our solutions, content, our edutainment in front of them. And oftentimes just say, okay, here's some edutainment, ready to take action, ready to actually follow through with that solution. Okay, here you go. I have something for you for you to take the next step towards actually doing something about this. Does that concept ring true for you in terms of the leverage of sort of leveraging other people's efforts online to warm up your audience? And what would you add to that? How do you summarize that for people who are new to that concept and think that they have to introduce people out there to whatever niche they're in? They have to warm up their audience and do all these things, versus just create content and get in front of people who are most likely already looking and have been being warmed up to that topic.
For sure. No, you hit on great points. And it is not our job necessarily to have that weight on our shoulders. You are not the holder of the truth, and you're the first person ever presenting this to people. Like, you're absolutely right. People are warmed up. They're seeing this content. It's amazing how much time people spend scrolling on Instagram or social media in general. They're seeing a lot of this content. So that's why it's just so important to be able to dial into your story and what rings true to you, that will potentially be that final light bulb that that person connected with that. And it's like, okay, I get this. Now it makes sense. I'm ready to go. So yeah, I mean, there's affiliate marketers are doing such an amazing job. Everybody's doing a great job and putting out these amazing messages, but you just need to add your truth to it and create engaging content with that valuable message. One other thing that I wanted to touch on when it comes to kind of leveraging other affiliates in the space is that's one really good way that you can better understand your target audience, like what their needs are, what their questions are. So what I was doing once I really started getting going is, first of all, I picked maybe like 15 to 20 top affiliates and starting engaging more and observing more with their content. So looking at the comments, people ask questions, and that can be your inspiration for future posts that you're going to do, like future messaging that you include in your content. Like people are literally putting that for you in the comments of these other affiliates reels. So they're going to voice their concerns, their doubts, ask questions. Everything is right there. Get your inspiration from the comments. And sometimes, there are some very, very large affiliates that I'm in their mentorship groups and I have learned so much from them, and I know how busy they are and how, they can't get back to comments. So sometimes just like engaging with their comments and providing value to those people is a great way to help keep the conversation going. And it also then, like, not only is it giving them information and helping them, but it's going to put your content in front of their eyes too, inevitably. So I just think there's a lot of value in that.
Yeah, for sure. I've said that countless times, and I love that you're echoing that thought this morning, because, it's so often we try to ask a coach or a mentor or somebody that we're kind of looking up to for what they think we should do in our marketing. And that's one of the reasons why I really, really try to be careful in our community about appearing as if I'm the all-knowing, omnipotent guru. Mm-hmm. Because the truth is I and nobody else in the marketing world has any idea how the marketplace is going to react to your content.
Oh yeah.
It's completely up to, because I have a completely different perspective. I mean, I have context and I have experience under my belt, and I have all these things that could sway I could have some sort of a financial agreement with you, or I could be hired by you, which of course makes me more biased. And, yeah. So I have to be careful and give, especially as an educator myself, to give the frameworks, the foundation, the strategy, but constantly be reminding everybody, which is part of my mission on the show every day, is that nobody can tell you how the market is going to react to your marketing and react to your content, but the market will tell you so clearly. Mm-hmm. They will. As you're alluding to, they will also tell your peers or competitors in their comments. You can just see their complaints. You can see where their head's at. It's so easy to just read through, and within a few moments or a bit of research to see what your marketplace's big objections are, what are their big struggles. And what we often do? What we often do is overcomplicate our marketing for where that market is at. Mm-hmm. Where the majority of buyers in most markets is kind of beginners in contemplation mode. Yeah. They are poking holes. They are skeptical. They are dealing with their own limiting beliefs. They are getting ready to do something big. It's sort of like a New Year's resolution, but everything in life is kind of like a New Year's resolution for a lot of people, because especially when you're dealing with a problem, or you're about to tackle something, or you're about to climb a mountain, which is what sometimes solving a problem in your life feels like. It's like you got to get ready. And a lot of times, all your skepticism, all your limiting belief, all the things are going to be coming up, and I'm going to be projecting those onto other people, you know, particularly people who say they have solutions. I'm going to be saying, but will it really work for me? You know, you know, just poking holes, and you can just see exactly where the audience is at. And so a lot of times we complicate it or speak over our market's head, at least the primary buyers in that market, by thinking that we need to talk about more complex topics than we do. When the reality is, and as you probably know, when you do look through the comment section of the majority of people who have big audiences, they are all primarily in that contemplation stage where they're getting inspired, being inspired, but still feeling like they're not ready yet. And, you know, they're also clearly, you know, they ask questions. A lot of those questions can be simple questions that really anybody with a small lick of knowledge in that industry, who's a couple of steps ahead of them, can answer. Yeah. And that is the type of marketing that I finally came to realize in most niches works, is not complex. It's okay to put that behind a paywall. It's okay to put those concepts be in a course or some sort of a coaching program, because the marketplace isn't ready for that anyways. The majority of them are still in contemplation stage. And so when they finally make a decision, okay, I'm ready to do something about this, the truth is, at least in my life, is when I don't pay attention. You know, so when I do pay for something, it actually behooves me, because I have, the old saying, some skin in the game. I've got some, you know, something there that's making me accountable. And that is when I'm ready to pay attention to the more complex, you know, things that I need to know about solving my problem. Okay. Trying to get generic to any niche. Does that resonate with you? And do you find yourself sometimes even overcomplicating it for your audience and realizing, hey, I need to stay more in story. I need to stay more in speaking to the beginners and those people who are in contemplation mode, and not particularly people who are already down the road and more advanced, which hopefully has taken a little bit of pressure off of you. Yeah. Like you need to be such an expert.
Yes, completely. With most things in life, I overcomplicated it. And also, for the record, like, skin in the game for sure. I'm with that with working out. I will not go to the gym by myself, but if I pay for a class that I will then get charged money if I don't show up for it, you bet your ass I'm going to be there. So I get that. And that's how I felt too. But yeah, when it comes to the messaging, I was totally overcomplicating it at first. And it's not dumbing it down by any means. It's literally just simplifying it, because you're right. You have to meet people where they are at in their journey. And that it's very much just like early stages. If I think back to when I came across this information, somebody was talking about all this complicated information, like, it would have gone over my head. It also would have probably turned me off from it, because I wouldn't have felt like I understood it or I was ready for it. So simplifying and just having that clear messaging and using terms that your audience is searching for. So like, you could literally go on Google or ChatGPT and ask, like, what is an audience in this niche looking for or asking about? Like, you can, on Google, we'll see what questions people ask when it comes to affiliate marketing. Use that in your messaging, so you're really speaking to them as if they're speaking. So yeah, it makes total sense. And it has taken the pressure off. It makes it more simple.
What have you, Emily, learned about yourself in the last 4 to 6 months through this process, in this journey, that is new to you, that is exciting to you, that is inspirational to you, that you know, it doesn't particularly have to be positive, but or what have you been reminded about yourself through this journey?
Yeah. Well, first of all, I never used to like waking up early. So I would wake up as late as humanly possible, whereas my husband is, up at 5 a.m. every single day. And I would wake up, maybe even if I woke up at like 6:30, which was early for me back in the day, I would just scroll social media until 7 o'clock when I had to get out of bed. What I've learned is when I have something that excites me and motivates me and gives me drive, I wake up at 5 a.m. every single day now. And actually last night when my husband and I were on our evening walk, he commented on it. He said, you've been like very consistently waking up at 5 a.m. every single day. Like that's kind of, you never used to do that. And I wake up because I have a purpose now. I have things that I want to work on my email campaign. I want to respond to comments. I want to edit my next reels. Like I'm very much to-do list driven. And so that helps me now. I prep my week's to-do list on Sundays. And so it's really cool. Like that's given me so much drive. And so I'm also just proud that I'm waking up early now. And yeah, so I think that has been a really big learning experience for me, just how finding something that gives me that drive and that extra purpose that I didn't even know I really needed. It's just really changing my life.
That's beautiful. That's really awesome. If you could go back and speak to yourself when you first got started here, even if it was just 4 or 5 months ago, what advice would you give yourself knowing what you know now?
I would, one, seek out those with more experience and learn from them. Ask questions, observe, engage with them, but learn from them. There's a reason why they are where they are. And that's kind of how I feel about the 15-day challenge. Like you've been in the game for a very long time. You know what you're doing. So I'm going to open up my ears and I'm going to listen. And I've done that with affiliates in the business too. And I've learned a lot from them. So I think that like from day one, just like have that learning mentality and seek out those lessons from others who have more experience. I do that now, but I didn't do that in the very beginning. And two, do not compare yourself where you are right now to where other people are 6 months, 9 months, a year plus in their journey, because that is not fair. The type of content they're creating is different. The type of results that they have are different. Remember that everybody had a day one. Everybody started with 0 followers, and just focus on each and every single day and take one day at a time.
Powerful. Wonderful. Multiple. Boom.
Love it.
It needs to get beat up. It was calling for a real good throw there against the backboard. It has been a pleasure. It has been very refreshing and inspirational to hear your story all the way back from what's driving you about, with your challenge and journey through pregnancy and building your family and wow, breaking generational, trauma and now to all of these changes, you and I were probably somewhere around the same age bracket here. And it's like, not saying you're old, not saying I'm old. But
what are you trying to say? No, I'm kidding.
Saying that older dogs can learn new tricks.
Yes.
Change and change habits, and change is possible. And it doesn't come immediately and overnight, and it's not easy, but it can happen. And all of those supporting pieces from, digging deeper and finding something that motivates you in life and a bigger reason to push forward and keep going, to the getting up early and becoming so open to, outside perspective and open-minded to people's experience and wisdom is just, that's what I've heard this episode. That's what I've heard. And I think that is such a powerful message for people, because we can be so prideful, we can be so pessimistic, we can be so oftentimes entitled, you know, and I think the older that we get, and especially when we start to experience, if we're lucky enough and want to, having children, having a family, being responsible for other people besides ourselves. And many of you who are on here are much older than Emily and I. So you certainly know about that. But it just, wow, the world really opens up when we use these, when we have these, what was quoted to me in recovery are spiritual principles, right? Kind of these principles of humility and open-mindedness and willingness. You know, these are the very same things that I've used in these kind of big moments in my life when I needed to get clean and sober, when I needed to start a business. Like, these are the things: honesty, open-minded, willingness. And such a great message to be able to describe what those principles really look like in action from you this morning. So thank you. Come back and see me, keep me posted. I look forward to following your success. And I'm honored to have a small part in it and just be able to witness it here. So shout out to your husband and your little chunky, delicious son, as you described him. And we will talk to you very soon, Emily. Okay.
Thank you, Dave. It was a pleasure. Have a good one.
See ya. Bye. All right, my friends, you can go and follow Emily over on Facebook at Emily Emmert _affiliate marketing mentor. You can also find her over on Instagram at Making Money with Emily, spelling exactly how it sounds, Making Money with Emily. And what a powerful show. What a great example of, again, those principles. Call them spiritual, call them practical, call them positive, whatever you want to call them, but they're certainly powerful. And that was a wonderful example of those principles in action and what they can do for you. And I had no idea to expect that some of her accomplishments were going to include, putting in her notice here in the next, I think she said, week or so, to be able to transition fully, to be working from home and full-time in her business. I mean, wow. What a huge milestone. And she laid out so simply and clearly exactly how she's done that. And certainly it's following the strategies. Certainly it's applying what we're teaching here. But it's also so much of that honesty with self, like, where am I at? What am I doing? What do I need help with? Willingness to be able to apply those things, even when they're not, or open-mindedness to apply things, or at least consider things, even that feel uncomfortable. And then willingness to just keep doing them, even when they're uncomfortable, even when they're not working immediately, right? And again, this journey of accomplishing things is parallel with other things that I've accomplished in my life, such as gaining long-term sobriety in recovery. It's the exact same thing. There's so many days over the last, 15 years that I've woke up and been like, oh, don't want to do this. Don't feel like I'm getting anywhere, particularly at the beginning, right? Not so much anymore, right? I love life and I love the life just the way I'm living it. But certainly at the beginning, when I was going through, whether it be withdrawals or whatever, still broke. So broke I couldn't afford to pay attention, and I'm going, well, geez, I'd rather be loaded if I'm going to be this broke and have this many struggles. But man, honesty. Okay, I need help getting a different perspective. Open-mindedness. Oh, that's what you suggest that I do? Get outside of myself, help somebody else, serve somebody else, get some service positions, start to try to think of some other people instead of always thinking about myself. Willingness to follow through with it, even when it didn't seem like it was working, and I heard those same principles in Emily's story this morning. And I hear those same principles in every story of success every morning or on any show or podcast that I watch. So I wonder how you can apply those. I wonder how you can adopt those. I wonder how you can sit with those and go deeper with those very principles in your own business and life right now in order to accomplish what you want to accomplish. That's the question, right? That's the real, again, the strategies, the mechanics, they're there. They haven't really changed all that much in the last 13 years that I've been doing it, honestly. But each one has our own journey with these principles and of navigating our heart and our mind and coming to terms with our pride and becoming honest, open-minded, and willing to do the things that it takes to be successful. And again, this morning was a great, wonderful, clear example of that in such a powerful story. So my friends, if you want to get a text message, a little gentle nudge on your phone every morning at 10 a.m. Eastern time when we go live, text the words or letters WUL. That stands for Wake Up Legendary. WUL. Send a text message with the words WUL or letters to 813-296-8553. Again, 813-296-8553. That's my radio announcement. If you want a shirt or hat, oftentimes we have questions about that. The only official place that we're selling shirts and hats, and it's not really part of our business model, but it's something that's there if you want a hat and you want to throw it during the show like I do, you can go to belegendary.shop, okay, .shop, and pick one up. Thank you for all the comments. I'm scrolling through, seeing them. Adelita, yes, you got it right. Hats being thrown everywhere. Michael says, so glad you do these shows. Hey, it's our pleasure. Glad you're enjoying them. Adelita, thanks for another awesome interview. Just what I needed for Thursday morning. Lots of great feedback to Emily. Thank you for that as well. It can oftentimes be a daunting thing to come on here and go live and get interviewed. And I mean, it's just makes it so much easier and so much more fun with all this positive support back from all of you. So thank you for being a part of the show. And thank you for all the wonderful comments, particularly for our guest this morning. I'm scrolling through and seeing so many wonderful, just positive affirmations coming our way and towards Emily. And I want to thank her once again for an amazing episode. And my friends, today is Thursday. Remember, we do the show Monday through Friday at 10 a.m. Eastern time. Every day it's live. And every day we have a new guest, unless it's somebody who's returning. And we're just so happy that you found us and that you're here. And we'll see you back here tomorrow for another episode. Same place, same time. Get out of here. Stay legendary. Peace.